listening to the Suave Lover podcast with your hosts, Benjamin Ritter and James Amaro. SuaveLover.com, advising gentlemen on the art of romance. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode.
Where is my motivation? I've got no motivation.
I really want to record a podcast, but I don't really have the energy to.
You're not feeling it?
Yeah. Wait, are you recording already?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't have to do anything. Actually,
pushing the button would have been so much work. I don't know if I was feeling like...
I probably just would have went home.
Oh.
With the microphone attached to me. I actually had a big issue with wanting a lot of things to happen, but not doing them.
Okay.
And I think I have now compiled 14 books that I ordered that I really wanted to read. But it's
do you take the approach that I do, where when you have a book that you really want to read, you stack them with the other books underneath your pillow at night and hope to God the information gets in there by magic while you're sleeping, so that you don't actually have to use the procedure of running your eye across a page, which is a pain in the ass.
I do it throughout the day, actually. I tape them to my body.
Right. Just hope osmosis sucks in the information.
I thought that's what happened.
That's right. If you sleep on books, if you dress in books.
That was a really good one. It was really light.
I'm really getting into comics. They're informative. I can wear them in my underwear.
Okay, so I had all these books, and I have a couple things that I'm waiting to hear about.
Yeah. In your life, your career, school, other kinds of things, right? Sure.
Yeah, so some changes and stuff that are going to happen. Yeah. And I took the...
Whether or not the Tinder response will happen tonight or tomorrow. Important things in your life.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
That you're waiting on.
Yeah. And I was in this stasis where I had all this desire and the urge to get things done and be productive. But I didn't feel like I was being productive, and I couldn't get myself to be productive and in the way that I wanted to, even though, let's say, I was being productive in some sense. And it left me, and that was kind of a tongue twister, it left me feeling really depressed. It's almost that feeling when you're scrolling through Facebook and you're just kind of what am I going to do today? And you're scrolling through Facebook and just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And you're you're mindless. And you're not hitting the goals that you want to hit. And I could have changed it.
How?
I could have given myself really specific tasks to do that I would have had to do that would have ultimately given me the feeling of accomplishment that I wasn't feeling at that point in time, that was causing me to almost turn internally on myself and be almost go introverted. I had to go out. I had to force myself to go out and be the person that I am, because when I was home alone, I felt so unmotivated and so kind of not just bored, but I didn't like what I was doing.
You've hit on some useful trigger words. You weren't feeling. And I think that's the word that should ideally tempt you to reflect on what it is that you mean by feeling about anything. In particular, all too often, we feel that our feelings, our thoughts, our experiences, the things that happen within us are us.
Yes.
Okay.
And where, in essence, all you have to do is look at the situation. What is off in the situation that is causing you to feel this way?
Well, you're closely identified to the feeling. And the thing is, feelings are no more than information. Okay, here. Do you feel like you have cancer? Because your diagnosis is you have cancer. Are you feeling the cancer? So it doesn't, in some sense, feeling is just information, and it's often better to get your information from a collection of sources than just one. So this is really important, because when you're talking about feeling motivated, which I think that's the trigger word that says, feeling motivated. I think we're going down the wrong path. Being motivated makes perfect sense, and we can talk about how to be motivated, because
Which causes you to feel motivated.
Well, it certainly can cause you satisfaction.
Yes,
that's that I think is what we're
satisfaction.
It's that feeling of dissatisfaction that something else should be going on, that I think we conflate often for not being productive or not achieving our goals. But if you don't know what the fuck your goal was in the first place, how are you going to achieve it?
Yeah, and I think what you're getting at, which I'm trying to get at the same time, is what a lot of time social psychologists discuss, because it's not the feeling. It's what's in your environment and situation that could be causing the feeling. Because the feeling is just
data. It's just data.
It's just, hey, maybe I should be a little bit more introspective on what's going on. And so a lot of times I was struggling, and I know a lot of people at times struggle, and they become obsessed with the feeling instead of really analyzing what that feeling is implying about what's going on in your life. For me, it was I needed to feel more accomplished. And the reason why I wasn't feeling more accomplished was because I didn't set specific goals.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I was working on was in stasis. For example, like decisions on applications and things like that, which I had no control over.
Right.
And so you have a feeling again of helplessness. Why? Because I was giving up control over my goals.
Yep.
Right? And I had to gain control again. So I had to put aside time for reading my books that I had stacked up that I really wanted to read. That gave me a sense of satisfaction. I had a lot of things in my life that I was doing currently that were giving me satisfaction, working out and all going out and doing all these types of things, but I wasn't doing the types of things, other things I needed. So I needed to, maybe post on social media once a day, do interactions, gain new followers, record a podcast, right? Market to the correct, I had to do things that were involved in the things that were in stasis, and I had to literally write them out step by step.
Why?
Because having a small task and being able to accomplish it gives me a feeling of satisfaction, which is all that motivation does for me. Motivation is really just my desire to accomplish things. Accomplishing those things give me a sense of satisfaction. That's all it is me being satisfied with myself.
The Essentials by Benjamin Ritter is your concise manual for life improvement and success with women. The Essentials has been called a straight-to-the-point lesson in the lost art of being a man. Packed with insights, this book will transform the way you think about dating and relationships. Get your copy of The Essentials by Benjamin Ritter at Amazon.com or in select bookstores today.
If you get that the flip side of motivation it's not really demotivation, it's actually frustration. And the flip side, well, it can be boredom, but usually it's more intense than boredom.
Anger, frustration.
Disengagement can be there, but usually it's frustration. Usually
dissatisfaction.
Yes, it's dissatisfaction. And what your motivation usually is a goal appraisal. You've got something that matters to you, which is the difference between squandering time on Facebook and investing time in a few social activities and then getting on with your life.
You're misaligned.
Yep.
Which is what it really is.
Yep.
Is you have a sense of self and you're not acting in accord to that sense of self. And it's weird to think of motivation as this like poofy, non-existent kind of feeling or word that really just relates to you being aligned with your sense of self and accomplishing the things that you believe you need to accomplish.
But if you don't take the time to maybe write them down and put them into a sort of a goal organization format, you might have that unfinished novel been sitting in your drawer for 20 years. You might have that sort of thing that's in the back of your mind that you haven't gotten in touch with, and that will create that unease, that dissatisfaction, that frustration that makes you feel, well, I don't really know. Should I even bother with the work thing? And I just want to kill time.
Because then you have two reactions. Either make small goals and accomplish it.
Ooh, that sounds great.
Or never look at it again because it makes you uneasy about who you are as a person.
Or you can have big goals, chunk them down into small, manageable parts. And
that's what more so what I meant is I think people sometimes will, instead of confronting their dissatisfaction, they'll ignore it.
Sometimes... No. I'm pretty sure that's called living in America in the 21st century. I'm pretty sure that's Twinder Facebooking your way through your endless suite of days. Yet another winter spent digitizing your life's non-accomplishments. No. We're in a problematic society in that it used to be that if you were a little bit withdrawn or isolated, you were a bit of a Kaczynski, a Unabomber. You had to have a stack of books in the corner and you had to cut your own wood, heat your stove. No. Now, You can be a hermit in the equivalent of your mom's basement in the middle of the most fucking glamorous city in the world.
Playing Halo.
And you can be completely,
Yeah.
you can be otherwise socially isolated. You're not really, you're digitally isolated, but it creates this virtually the identical sense of disconnect because you're interacting with dead people by reading books, reading classics, whatever. You're interacting with live people that ain't there. Either way, you're not with the people.
And this all really reverts into a type of depression.
Mm-hmm.
And if you let it just kind of go on and you don't give yourself meaningful goals, you will just not really know what's wrong. And you will then be almost embarrassed by who you are. And like you said, you become a hermit that can still survive and live because you are still validated socially in some sense by our technology and by everything else that we have around us. But you're not really able to do things to improve your life. Sometimes, just like in dating, you can be demotivated in a way. You don't really have the energy to get up. And just like so many freaking potential clients go, I'm just like, I'm over dating. Like, I'm done with it. Like, I don't care about sex.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Right,
I'll take some time off, focus on myself.
Withdraw, apathy.
You mean like sit down and watch TV? You mean like you're not focusing on yourself, not doing anything for self-improvement.
Right.
You're literally just copping out.
Right.
And instead
out of frustration.
Yeah, because you are not happy with confronting the fact that you are going to be putting yourself in uncomfortable situations where you may not succeed,
but
you don't know the outcomes of. And really, this all comes down to is like, so you're changing your self-talk. Right? You are getting positive.
Hopefully.
Changing your internal beliefs. There's this acronym, Kill the Ants. Anti-negative talk.
Okay.
Ants. And I think I heard it from like some Tony Robbins thing or something.
Love Tony Robbins. Goal appraisal. Just set goals and attain goals. Not as simple as that. But the idea is, if you want to have something in your life, big goal. You want a girlfriend. Real simple. Okay? What do you need to do to get a girlfriend? Well, you're going to have to meet one. You got to chunk it to how are you going to meet women? Well, if you can't
Mail
go...
order.
Was it? Right.
Order brides.
If you've got celebrity game, you can just walk into a room and let them come up to you. But for most of us, we have to chunk it down. We have to say, well, in order to meet women and talk to one and get one to be a girlfriend, I'm going to have to be able to chat with some and get to know them. That's a prerequisite. So how do I chat with girls? So being able to chunk it down to the right level. And by the way, a lot of this motivation, frustration, business kicks in when you face the setbacks and you cope with them poorly. Okay, shit's hard. You've got to apply to graduate schools and they're very selective, and you've got to go through a testing process, or you have to proposition some women and face some rejection. Shit's hard. There's no neglecting it. But if you experience difficulty and setbacks as, fuck this shit, this is so stupid, well, that self-sabotage is going to kick in and your motivation is going to go right out the window. However, if you say, well, that's the game. The game is I got to work out what I don't know. I got to practice. I got to compensate for my weaknesses. Like we all do, brother. We all got to do it. That's going to properly, hopefully, motivate the hell out of you.
Yeah, so you're cutting it down. You're making specific goals. You're being positive. You can even make a freaking vision board. You can.
Oh, right on.
Those are awesome. I like vision boards.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
You have your goal in sight. Write down what it is that your goal was, and it's like a certificate of completion.
Oh, right.
And it's a future date on it, and you sign it, and so you have this, and you see it every day, and it's like you've already accomplished it. You've already been awarded, and now you have all these little goals to get there. Where instead of I'm going to make $100,000 this year, right? If you're a salesperson, you say I'm going to make 10 phone calls a day. Or in dating, if I want a girlfriend, I'm going to go out and talk to 4 real women a day. I'm going to get 1 phone number a day. This is probably one of the easiest times to actually have conversations with women. If it's over the internet with dating apps like Tinder or Hinge or anything like that, you can literally just swipe right on everyone and just start conversations and practice stuff. Practice flirting, practice having a conversation, practice being interesting. It's a lot less intimidating than going out and talking to someone. This is like the easiest time to actually learn how to converse with people. You can even be in your mom's basement. Like, you have an unlimited availability of conversations and social practice.
Sure.
There's also a lot of resources out there, especially like our podcast. So one of your goals can be, I'm going to read 1 article a day. I'm going to listen to 1 podcast a day. And you set up these little tiny goals. And then to ensure that you do them and you follow through, you set up rewards. So they were saying in this recent Time magazine article that 3/4 of what we do are because of a reward.
A payoff of some kind. You better believe it.
How to Start a Kinky Relationship by James Amaro is the definitive guide to successful alternative romantic relationships. The book has been called 50 Shades of Grey for real people. Educational, informative, and irreverent, this book has something to offer anyone who is curious and sexually adventurous. Get your copy of How to Start a Kinky Relationship by James Amaro at Amazon.com or in select bookstores today.
It could either be an agreement with a friend, like, here's $100, watch me do XYZ, give me $100 back. Or it could be you will literally set aside a reward fund where you do something and you put $1 in it and you buy yourself something special. Set miniature rewards.
Right.
What would be something that you would set a reward to? What would that reward?
If I recently had to do this. I hate finance, man. I hate doing hard math problems, and I had to do some of this stuff for work. So what I did to make sure that I could decipher assets and liabilities, and I know I'm already putting some of them to sleep just listening to it. I put myself to sleep. What I did is I made it so that I could do something simple. That is, I had to work out a little problem. I made a mini example, and I was able to bring it immediately to the people at work that I had to do this thing with to check it in. Basically to say, would this put us on track? What it did is it allowed me to check in quickly and then cut my losses if I was wasting time and get quick feedback. I got to tell you, that feedback part is huge for me. If my goal structure is such that I go off for a year hoping that some magic result will occur, man, I don't have the attention span for it. So what I really need is some fast feedback, like a buddy to check in with or whatever, like you had said before. That's very helpful. What I needed to do to get over the fucking tedium of this disinteresting project was say, all right, let me see if I can quickly decipher what I need to know and bring it back to the group and see if we can work with it. If we can, well, then I can be the guy who helps lead it forward. That's very satisfying to me. And if it's not working, I cut my losses and I don't feel like I've wasted a week. I've wasted an evening.
Other than the fact that that was kind of part of a profession, part of what you were doing, how would you reward yourself after accomplishing that and learning that and like putting that into play?
Well, I think that's it. Is the part of it is the sense of accomplishment. That's certainly true. In places like where, for example, I had to apply to grad school and I had to study for the GMATs. Like, right? That shit's hard.
My
right?
reward was a very long night out.
Was it? I
was like, we're going out. Get the champagne.
Well, I mean, I had the girl that I was seeing at the time was playing along with me. So I would do a certain amount of study. Actually went to the library. And then when I came back, I was like, did I do at least 3 hours? We had prearranged. If I got 3 hours of work done, I would get to do whatever I wanted for the next hour. And that was neat because, she was a little bit coy. So this arrangement was very much an incentive for me. And that worked out really nicely.
How much does inspiration play a role in the feeling of motivation, I guess, or being goal-oriented? How do you get inspired? Do you have to be inspired?
I think the best way to fail in your life is to wait for inspiration to strike. If you don't have, I believe that all of the people who have been successful in anything that they've done have relished the moments of inspiration, but have found the discipline to work at what they wanted to get done regardless of the inspiration. I think that conflating inspiration, and that's a good question, conflating inspiration and motivation, I think is just the most effective way to fail.
inspiration is almost a product of the hard work that you've put in.
Certainly the satisfaction is, and if you can feel simultaneously inspired, and because inspiration strikes, we don't have any control of it. We get inspired from time to time, but what we do have systematic control over is the discipline to do some work. And if you have goals that you can work towards during the moments of inspiration, you might get better goals or you might get clearer goals. But in those valleys, those weeks or months of the lack of inspiration, if you can't just work, I think, and work at what you want to achieve, I think you set yourself up to fail. So again, back to trying to get a girlfriend. I mean, wherever you're coming at this, maybe you're divorced and you haven't been in a dating scene for a long time. Maybe you are a kid who's young and is just trying to figure out girls for the first time. You're going to have to learn some things through some trial and error. And ideally, you're going to not make a series of the same mistakes over and over again. You're going to find some techniques that you're going to try. You're going to take initiative. You're going to own your sexuality. And you're going to proposition girls in ways that it would never occur to you that you can get away with.
Well, it takes practice. And intuition or emotions are just knowledge that moves quicker. Like it's really just your body not realizing that it's processing information. And so your intuition in those types of situations, in anything that you do, especially in dating and relationships, is based off of everything that you've learned and everything that you've done and the goals you've accomplished and the experiences that you've had. It's so ingrained in you that you don't even realize that your body is working through all these memories and experiences and these knowledge and all the knowledge that you've had so far.
Sure.
And it comes out as intuition, it comes out as a gut feeling, it comes out as an emotion, it comes out as, in a way, inspiration. Right? And you will eventually get those types of feelings if you put in the work and you set those goals.
Yeah. And on the other hand, you should brace yourself for the frustration that comes if you don't clarify what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, if it's with women, if you're just vaguely saying, and I know that there are I do know a lot of people who are unfortunately in this position. They put themselves in this position, and that's frustrating. They're like, well, I don't really know what I want. I mean, I just kind of want to hear what other people are doing, and I just kind of want to try something. It's almost like they think of dating as a kind of entertainment, like they're watching TV. And their level of engagement is low. And I gotta say, if you are doing something that you don't find particularly engaging, I'm not particularly engaged playing baseball. It's just not my thing. I did it in junior high, and I found baseball to be the most boring way of spending a summer afternoon. I just am not engaged. I watch professional baseball. I find it so boring. It's an 1800 sport, in my opinion. But the point is, because it's not engaging to me...
Background music when you drink.
Right, like that.
That's what baseball is.
Right. So since it doesn't engage me, I don't spend a lot of time worrying about it. However, if I was really into playing baseball and I wasn't engaged in learning to get my at-bats up and making contact and being able to center and keep my eye on the ball, I mean, if I didn't have the ability to do the technical stuff, get the discipline to be good at baseball, well, then I'd have set myself up to fail. I want to do something, but I'm not willing to learn it. Well, there you go. You've just written your own ticket.
What's the resulting emotion?
Yep. Well, I got to imagine that it is apathetic frustration, boredom, anger, demotivation.
Which leaks into every other facet of your life.
So if you really want to motivate yourself, make sure that you set a reward at the end of your endeavor. Cocaine off a hooker's ass? That might be a good reward that will give you...
I got my interview in The Bachelor. If you remember that.
Did you say that out loud?
Fuck, I can't say it on the podcast.
You have been listening to the Suave Lover podcast. Visit suavelover.com to become the kind of man that women crave.